Albert Einstein, the story of a genius. Welcome to an amazing story that will inspire you and help improve your English skills. Today, we are going to learn about the life of Albert Einstein, one of the greatest minds in history. His discoveries changed the world, and his story is full of lessons about curiosity, perseverance, and passion for learning. As you listen, pay attention to new words and phrases, and take notes to help you understand better. Now, let's begin this journey into the life of Albert Einstein. Early life and childhood. Albert Einstein was born on March 14, 1879, in a small town called Ulm in Germany. His parents, Hermann Einstein and Pauline Koch, were ordinary people. His father was a businessman who worked with electrical parts, and his mother loved music and learning. When Albert was born, nothing seemed special about him except one small detail. His head was unusually large. His family even joked about it, wondering if he would grow up to be a normal child. Little did they know, this boy would change the world. Albert was a very quiet child. He did not speak his first words until he was almost 3 years old. His parents were worried, and some people thought there was something wrong with him. His family called him the quiet one because he rarely spoke, even when other children were talking. But Albert was not quiet because he was slow, was quiet because he was always thinking. He spent hours observing the world around him, trying to understand how everything worked. A life-changing gift. When Albert was 5 years old, his father gave him a small gift that changed his life forever: a simple compass. Albert was fascinated. He could not understand how the needle always pointed north, no matter how he turned it. He stared at it for hours, trying to figure out the invisible force that guided the needle. This was the first time he realized that there were unseen forces in the world, and he wanted to discover them all. Later in life, he said, "That experience left a deep and lasting impression on me." School struggles. When Albert started school, things did not go well. He did not like the way teachers taught. At that time, schools were very strict, and students had to memorize everything. But Albert was not interested in memorizing facts. He wanted to ask questions and find answers. His teachers often got angry with him. One teacher even told him, "You are a disgrace. You will never be successful in life." These words hurt, but Albert did not let them stop him. Albert struggled with some subjects, especially languages, but he loved mathematics. He called it the language of the universe and enjoyed solving problems like puzzles. His mother, Pauline, noticed his love for music and encouraged him to learn the violin. At first, he did not like practicing, but over time, music became a way for him to relax and think clearly. His uncle Jacob also played a big role in shaping his mind. Jacob loved math and taught Albert in a fun and creative way. He once told Albert, "Math is like a treasure hunt. Every problem is a clue that leads you to the solution." This playful approach made Albert fall in love with numbers. A curious mind. Albert was not like other children. While others played games, he spent hours reading books and imagining how the world worked. He loved stories about great scientists and often dreamed of making discoveries of his own. One day, while walking home from school, Albert asked himself, "What would it be like to ride a beam of light?" This question stayed with him for years. It was the beginning of his lifelong journey to understand light, space, and time. A difficult decision. When Albert was 15 years old, his life took a difficult turn. His father's business failed, and the family had to move to Italy. Albert stayed behind in Germany to finish school, but he hated being away from his family. He felt lonely and unhappy. Eventually, he decided to leave school without finishing. He could not stand the strict rules and harsh teachers anymore. Instead, he started studying on his own. He read books on science, philosophy, and mathematics, teaching himself everything he wanted to know. This was a risky decision. Many people thought he had ruined his future by leaving school, but Albert did not care. He believed that learning was more important than following rules. At 16, he wrote his first scientific paper. It was not perfect, but it showed his incredible potential. He also applied to a prestigious school in Switzerland called the Swiss Federal Polytechnic School. However, he failed the entrance exam because he struggled with nonsense subjects like French and history. Never giving up. Instead of giving up, Albert decided to try again. He worked harder than ever before, improving his weak areas and refusing to let failure define him. In 1896, at the age of 17, he passed the entrance exam and was accepted into the school. He was finally on the path to becoming a scientist. However, his troubles were not over yet. Even though he was studying at one of the best schools in Europe, his rebellious nature made it hard for him to fit in. Albert loved studying mathematics and physics, but he was not interested in other subjects. His professors did not understand his way of thinking. Some of them even disliked him because he did not follow their teaching methods. One professor told him, "You are a smart boy, Einstein, but you lack discipline." Albert was not the best student in his class. He often skipped lectures and studied on his own. While his classmates followed the curriculum, Albert spent his time exploring deeper questions. What is light? How does time work? Why does gravity exist? These were not ordinary questions, and most people did not have answers for them. Finding a friend. During his time at the Polytechnic, Albert met a young woman named Mary. She was the only female physics student in his class. Maliva was brilliant, and she shared Albert's passion for science. The two of them became close and often spent hours discussing scientific theories. Maliva was not just Albert's classmate, she became his closest companion. They inspired each other and dreamed of making important discoveries together. Albert once wrote to her, "Together, we will conquer the world of science." However, their relationship was not easy. Maliva faced criticism for being a woman in science, and Albert struggled with financial difficulties. But despite the challenges, they supported each other and stayed focused on their dreams. In 1900, at the age of 21, Albert graduated from the Polytechnic with a degree in physics. He was excited about starting his career as a scientist, but life had other plans. He applied to several universities, hoping to become a professor or researcher, but he was rejected every time. His professors did not give him good recommendations because they thought he was unmotivated. Struggles and determination. Without a job, Albert had to find other ways to support himself. In 1902, he finally found work as a clerk at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. It was not a glamorous job, but it gave him free time to think about his scientific ideas. He called the patent office his thinking lab and spent his evenings working on his theories. This was the beginning of a journey that would change science forever. A new beginning at the patent office. In 1902, Albert Einstein began working at the Swiss Patent Office in Bern. His job was to review applications for new inventions and determine if they were original ideas. Although this was not the academic job he had dreamed of, it provided him with a stable income and free time to work on his scientific ideas. Albert called the patent office his thinking lab because it allowed him to develop his theories in his spare time. While working at the patent office, Albert continued studying physics on his own. He spent nights and weekends thinking about light, space, and time. He was fascinated by the idea that time might not be the same for everyone. This idea would later lead to one of the greatest scientific discoveries in history. 1905, the miracle year. The year 1905 was a turning point in Albert Einstein's life. That year, he published 4 groundbreaking scientific papers, each of which changed the way people understood physics. Scientists call this year Annus Mirabilis, or the miracle year. The photoelectric effect. Albert explained how light behaves like tiny particles called photons. This discovery later won him the Nobel Prize in Physics. Brownian motion. He provided mathematical proof that atoms exist by explaining the random movement of particles in liquid. Special theory of relativity. Albert introduced the idea that time and space are relative, not absolute. This was a revolutionary concept in physics. This famous equation showed that energy and mass are interchangeable, laying the foundation for nuclear energy. These papers shocked the scientific community. Albert, a simple patent clerk with no university position, had just revolutionized modern physics. Scientists around the world began to take notice of his work, and soon he was offered teaching positions at universities. Recognition and academic career. In 1909, Albert finally left the patent office and became a professor at the University of Zurich. He continued to develop his theories, gaining more recognition in the scientific world. He later moved to Prague and then returned to Zurich, teaching at different universities. In 1914, he accepted a prestigious position at the Prussian Academy of Sciences in Berlin. This job gave him complete freedom to focus on research without the burden of teaching classes. During this time, he worked on expanding his special theory of relativity into a more general theory. General theory of relativity and global fame. Albert Einstein spent years working on what would become his most famous achievement, the general theory of relativity. In 1915, he presented his final equations, which explained that gravity is not just a force between objects, but a result of how space and time are curved by mass. This was a revolutionary idea that changed the way scientists understood the universe. In 1919, British scientists conducted an experiment during a solar eclipse that confirmed Albert's theory. The news spread around the world, and Einstein became an international celebrity. Newspapers everywhere printed headlines like "Einstein's theory proven true." Personal challenges and world events. Despite his success, Albert's personal life was not easy. His marriage to Mileva Mary had been struggling for years due to financial difficulties and time apart. In 1919, they officially divorced. Soon after, Albert married his cousin Elsa Einstein, who became his lifelong companion and supporter. Meanwhile, the world was changing. In the 1920s, Albert traveled the world, giving lectures in the United States, Japan, and other countries. He met many scientists and leaders, sharing his knowledge and inspiring the next generation of thinkers. However, his fame also brought challenges. Some people criticized his work, and others tried to discredit his theories. But Albert remained focused on his research. He once said, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." Escaping Nazi Germany. In 1933, the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany forced Albert Einstein to flee. As a Jewish scientist, he was in great danger. The Nazis burned his books and called his theories Jewish science. Albert left Germany and moved to the United States, where he accepted a position at the Institute for Advanced Study in Princeton, New Jersey. He never returned to Germany again. In the U.S., Albert continued his work and became an advocate for world peace. He spoke out against war and discrimination, using his influence to promote harmony and scientific progress. The atomic bomb and regret. During World War II, Albert was concerned about the possibility of Nazi Germany developing a powerful weapon. In 1939, he signed a letter to U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning him about the dangers of nuclear energy. This letter led to the development of the atomic bomb in the Manhattan Project. However, Albert was deeply troubled when he learned about the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. He regretted that his work had contributed to such destruction. For the rest of his life, he worked to promote nuclear disarmament and world peace. He famously said, "Mankind invented the atomic bomb, but no mouse would ever construct a mousetrap." Final years and legacy. Even as he grew older, Albert never lost his curiosity. He continued to work on scientific theories and explore big questions about the universe. One of his final projects was the search for a unified theory, a single equation, that could explain all the forces of nature. This challenge remains unsolved to this day. Albert Einstein passed away on April 18, 1955, at the age of 76. His last words, spoken in German, were never recorded because the nurse by his side did not understand the language. The lessons of Einstein's life. Albert Einstein's contributions to science and humanity remain unparalleled. His story teaches us important lessons. Struggles shape greatness. Albert faced rejection, failure, and opposition, but he never gave up on his dreams. Curiosity drives progress. He taught us to question everything and seek answers, no matter how difficult they seem. Humility and simplicity. Despite his fame, Albert remained humble and focused on the pursuit of knowledge. Today, his name is synonymous with genius, but his story is about more than intelligence. It is about perseverance, courage, and the belief that one person can change the world. Albert Einstein proved that greatness is not about being perfect, it is about being passionate, persistent, and unafraid to challenge the impossible. Try not to become a person of success, but rather try to become a person of value. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein's contributions to modern science. Albert Einstein's impact on the world extended far beyond his theories of relativity. His work paved the way for numerous scientific advancements, many of which continue to influence research today. His curiosity, determination, and innovative thinking helped solve some of the most challenging mysteries of the universe. One of Einstein's lesser-known contributions was his work on quantum mechanics. While he initially opposed some of the interpretations of quantum theory, his contributions to the field were significant. His explanation of the photoelectric effect in 1905 demonstrated that light could behave both as a wave and as discrete particles called photons. This discovery was essential in the development of quantum mechanics, and later led to the invention of technologies such as solar panels and digital cameras. In addition to quantum mechanics, Einstein contributed to the study of statistical physics and thermodynamics. His work on Brownian motion, which explained how tiny particles move randomly in liquids, provided crucial evidence for the existence of atoms. This discovery helped lay the foundation for modern chemistry and material sciences. Life in Princeton and continued work. After fleeing Nazi Germany in 1933, Einstein settled in Princeton, New Jersey, where he became a professor at the Institute for Advanced Study. At Princeton, he continued working on complex scientific problems, particularly his unified field theory, which sought to combine the forces of gravity and electromagnetism into a single theoretical framework. While he never fully completed this theory, his efforts inspired generations of physicists to continue the search for a unified theory of physics. Einstein also used his fame to advocate for social and political causes. He was a strong supporter of civil rights and openly opposed racial segregation in the United States. He became friends with prominent African American figures like W.E.B. Du Bois and actively spoke out against racism and discrimination. Einstein also supported Jewish refugees fleeing persecution in Europe, using his influence to help them find safe homes and academic opportunities. Einstein's views on education and creativity. Einstein strongly believed that education should encourage curiosity and independent thinking, rather than rote memorization. He often criticized traditional school systems for discouraging creativity and imagination. He once said, "Education is what remains after one has forgotten what one has learned in school." Throughout his life, Einstein emphasized the importance of questioning and critical thinking. He believed that true knowledge came from experience and self-discovery rather than blindly following authority. His approach to learning inspired educators worldwide to rethink teaching methods and focus on nurturing creativity and problem-solving skills. The later years and legacy. In his later years, Einstein continued working on scientific problems while advocating for global peace. He became an outspoken critic of nuclear weapons, especially after witnessing the devastation caused by the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. He co-signed the Russell-Einstein Manifesto in 1955, which called for the reduction of nuclear arms and promoted peaceful solutions to international conflicts. Despite his fame, Einstein remained humble and lived a simple life. He refused many government positions and avoided material wealth. He preferred to spend his days engaged in deep thought, playing the violin and sailing, even though he never learned how to swim. On April 18, 1955, Albert Einstein passed away at the age of 76 due to an abdominal aneurysm. His last words, spoken in German, were never recorded because the attending nurse did not understand the language. Even in his final moments, he remained focused on science, as his last written thoughts were calculations related to his work on the unified field theory. The timeless influence of Albert Einstein. Einstein's contributions to science, philosophy, and human rights continue to inspire people around the world. His name has become synonymous with genius, yet his story is about much more than intelligence. It is a story of curiosity, persistence, and a relentless search for truth. His theories remain central to modern physics, shaping everything from GPS technology to black hole research. Scientists today still build upon his work, exploring concepts such as gravitational waves and time travel ideas that Einstein himself first theorized. Beyond science, Einstein's legacy endures in his wisdom and philosophy. His quotes about life, creativity, and knowledge continue to motivate people across all fields. He believed that imagination was more important than knowledge and that curiosity was the key to progress. In many ways, Albert Einstein was not just a physicist, he was a visionary who reshaped the way we understand the universe and our place in it. His words remind us that greatness comes not from perfection, but from the courage to ask questions and seek answers, no matter how difficult the journey may be. Final words of wisdom. To conclude, here are a few of Einstein's most powerful quotes that continue to inspire millions. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existing. Albert Einstein's journey shows us that thinking differently and staying curious can lead to incredible discoveries. His life's work and ideas continue to shape the world, proving that one person's vision can truly change history.